CTV News at 5 with Tony Ryma and Rick Wyman with weather.
Good evening. Glad you are with us on this Friday, November 7th. Have you brushed up on your winter driving skills? It's slick out there in parts of the broadcast region. A collision partially closed Highway 11 in Smooth Rock Falls today. Provincial police saying the weather was partially to blame. While the highway was cleared and the road reopened, police have since closed Highway 11 again. This time, the closure extends from Cochrane to Kapuskasing because of adverse weather conditions in the area. And to tell us more about the conditions in Timmins, Cochrane, and surrounding communities, let's bring in CTV's Rick Wyman. How much snow are they expecting?
Well, it was 5 centimeters last night, Tony, and 15 to 20 for today in that Highway 11 corridor up north. This is the system that is moving throughout northeastern Ontario. Now, that winter storm warning will end this evening. Just a few centimeters again in the Timmins, Cochrane, Iroquois Falls, really Hearst areas as well. So again, that snow will diminish and some better weather ahead for the area. We'll take a look at some of that snowfall in just a couple of minutes, courtesy of CTV News reporter Lydia Chubak. She went out and managed to get some great shots of the winter storm and more. That's all coming up. Back to you.
Looking forward to seeing that. Thanks so much, Rick. A man wanted for the murder of a 30-year-old in Sault Ste. Marie has been arrested. Last week, Sault police stated that they believe Scott Devlin was last seen in Toronto and yesterday was located by officers in that city. 52-year-old Devlin has been charged with second-degree murder and indignity to a dead body. The murder investigation began on June 19th in an apartment in the 700 block of Pine Street, where Devlin was also a resident. Last night, Sault police detectives were in the area of Toronto's Union Station, where they observed someone matching the 52-year-old's description, later confirming the man to be Scott Devlin and taking him into custody. Sault police officials would not say if there was a tip that led officers to Union Station, only saying that they traveled to Toronto the same day the accused was arrested.
Obviously great police work. As we mentioned, the last known location that we had was that Scott Devlin was in the Toronto area. We'd also like to thank our partners, our policing partners in the Toronto area who did share the message we posted last week to their followers and some of their platforms to kind of expand the reach of the information that Scott Devlin was wanted.
And Devlin is being held in custody pending a bail hearing. Police in Sudbury have taken a closer look at the numbers and will be bringing a new budget ask to the city's finance committee next week. CTV's Angela Gemmell reports.
Wednesday night, Sarah and I are going to appear before council.
It was a quick meeting, but long enough for the Greater Sudbury Police Services Board to decide how it wants to reduce its budget further.
We want to be good stewards of taxpayers' money, while at the same time making sure we have effective and adequate policing in Sudbury.
The board had already approved its 2026-2027 budget and was preparing to present those figures to the city's finance committee next week. But after learning the city's proposed tax hike sat around 5.7%, the chair asked the board to look at options.
There is a concern, and a very valid concern. I'm a taxpayer, we're all taxpayers, and is there any way that we can reduce the amounts so that the levy is being able to be reduced as well?
The board was presented with two options to reduce its budget, either draw from its reserve fund or reduce a $1.65 million contribution toward a new police building. They chose the latter.
We knew that we were not building a building in the coming year of 2026 or even 2027. We are not stepping away from the need of a new facility. It is still, something that we absolutely need. Instead of us debt financing it, we might be turning to our city partners and the city and looking for them to assist us.
The last minute change shaves the request down to a 10.2% increase, down from the 12.6% they first proposed. Lougheed says this won't impact frontline policing.
There's a heightened expectation, especially with the homeless program and plan, with regard to a lot of people's downtown's concerns about homelessness, etc. So we want to see more presence of police officers, and therefore to have more police officers, we need more resources for them, not bricks and mortar.
Lougheed and Chief Cunningham will present the newly revised police budget to the Finance Committee next Wednesday. City Council is set to deliberate the 2026-2027 budget in early December. Angela Gemmell, CTV News, Sudbury.
Conservation authorities manage local watersheds with programs for flood and erosion control, drinking water source protection, and land management. The province will soon introduce legislation to consolidate 36 conservation authorities into 7. We get northern reaction now from CTV's Alan Everson.
The general manager of Conservation Sudbury says news of consolidating conservation authorities in Ontario came as a bit of a surprise.
We're already very efficient, and the conservation authorities are being described as being fragmented, but I see it the other way around. We're localized, right? We're very much related to the communities that we serve.
In a news release, the Minister of the Environment says in part, conservation authorities play a vital role in protecting our communities and managing our watersheds. But the system has become too fragmented, inconsistent, and outdated. The new dedicated agency would work with conservation leaders to ensure faster, more transparent permitting and more frontline services. In a statement, the general manager of the Sault Ste. Marie Region Conservation Authority says, "We are awaiting more information, but in the meantime, we'll continue doing our important work to deliver on local programs and services that we have in place for our local watershed. We are ready and willing to work with the province and are encouraged with the opportunity to comment on the upcoming proposed changes." Conservation Sudbury says it looks forward to providing input on the proposed changes.
Some of the things that Minister McCarthy said, I'm very optimistic about. He's talking about bringing in new tools and new opportunities for expertise to be shared across the province. Looking forward to that.
In the coming weeks, the provincial government will hold public consultations on the watershed-based consolidation of conservation authorities, including the proposed regional boundaries. Alana Everson, CTV News, Sudbury.
Time for a quick break. Coming up on CTV News at 5, Rick has your full weather forecast. Plus, this story, an emergency shelter in Wawa is now accepting pets. A big company is making it possible.
We will never forget your bravery, your strength, your sacrifice.
The very best and bravest of our nation. These heroic souls stood on guard for freedom.
Join the CTV News team and me as Canada comes together to remember.
Remembrance Day 2025, Tuesday morning at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on CTV.
Well, for the last couple of days, we talked about the threat of snow, and so it occurred yesterday in the Timmins area along that Highway 11 corridor. Let's have a peek as to what reporter Lydia Chubak managed to come up with this morning. There you could see it, 5 centimeters last night, and anywhere from 10, 15, 20, depending on the locale. Take a look at some of the banks already. And again, it did play some havoc with Highway 11, the corridor closures, Kapuskasing and Cochrane area as well. So no kidding around with the snowfall as we know it in that area. And that snow will diminish by about midnight this evening, just a few more centimeters. Then you'll be out. We'll take a look at some of the local conditions here coming up momentarily. Sudbury Nickel Belt, we've got clearing in the forecast at -2. Cloud cover on Sunday, -4. Chance of flurries on Monday, -3. Remembrance Day overcast at -1 and chance of showers next Wednesday at +1. Sault Ste. Marie Algoma, cloud cover tomorrow at 1, -1 on Sunday, sun and cloud. Chance of flurries Monday, 0. And chance of sleet on Tuesday, about 30-40%, 2 degrees there. Wednesday, 40% chance of sleet and 3 degrees. Now a bit of a break for Timmins, Cochrane and Kapuskasing residents, as well as Hearst, Iroquois Falls, Moonbeam, all areas in between. Cloud cover tomorrow, -4 your expected high. Sunday, sunshine, -5. Chance of flurries on Monday, -4. Overcast skies on Tuesday, -2. And Wednesday, chance of flurries at 0. So a lot better tomorrow than it was, or that it is, going on right now this hour in Timmins, Cochrane and Kapuskasing today. How about Temiskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake? Chance of flurries for tomorrow, -3. -6 on Sunday, some sun and cloud. Chance of flurries Monday, -3. And for Remembrance Day, we've got the chance of flurries as well, 30–40%, -1 the expected high. And Wednesday, we've got the chance of flurries and 0. So once again, you'll see that cold weather trend at night, Saturday, Sunday, warming up Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Now, North Bay, West Nipissing, chance of flurries tomorrow at 0, -4 Sunday, cloud cover, chance of flurries on Monday, -3. Remembrance Day, sun and cloud, -1, and the chance of flurries Wednesday, 30% at +1. That is the forecast. So, Tony, a bit of a break for residents in the Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing, Hearst area, as well with all that snowfall today. Things will change in the forecast for tomorrow. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Rick. Chadwick Home in Wawa is a 10-bed emergency shelter for women, children, and now pets. It's all thanks to funding through Purina's Purple Leash Project. CTV's Lindsay Alick has more.
First, we know the lack of pet-friendly domestic violence shelters across the country is a barrier to leaving abusive situations.
November is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and across Canada, only 13% of women's shelters are able to accommodate pets.
It's over 60% of shelters at least have some form of pet sheltering. If not on site, it is the external partnership. I would say the majority, it's still the external partnership as opposed to having the internal. But this funding that Purina has been able to give us is definitely making a huge difference.
In 2024, Purina, along with WSC, launched the Purple Leash Project, supporting 20 shelters, keeping more than 320 women, children, and over 200 pets safe together.
The abuser is not just targeting you. They are often targeting or threatening to target children, family members, and that includes pets.
Chadwick Home in Wawa was one of the recipients this year.
We were able to have built a fenced-in area directly behind the garage on the shelter site. We retrofitted our storage room and turned it into a space where we put a couple of kennels, crates. In the shelter itself, we were able to really dedicate one room, one bedroom for now.
The 10-bed shelter is meant for people to stay up to 6 weeks. But Ross says due to the lack of affordable housing, many people are staying over a year.
Support local shelters in your areas and advocating for pet-friendly spaces. Those of us that have pets, we know they're part of the family. And when we stand together in the community, we show survivors that their support.
Lindsay Alick, CTV News, Sudbury.
Dignitaries and residents of a new North Bay long-term care home celebrated the grand opening this morning. Northern Heights Community, a 160-bed long-term care home, is replacing the Water's Edge Care Community Home and is operated by Sienna Senior Living. The first residents moved in September. The new building is designed around 5 resident home areas, which are meant to create a more intimate living space for up to 32 residents with their own dining and activity areas, lounges, and bedrooms. Northern Heights employs 250 staff, which include registered nurses, personal support workers, and other assisted living staff members. Canadore College is getting a major funding from the province to support its new aviation campus. Nearly $2 million from the Heritage Fund will help the college with equipment costs and renovations at the Jack Garland Airport. This will include simulators and the latest aviation training technologies, as well as renovations to the space to make room for a state-of-the-art simulation lab. The lab will not only benefit students, but other industries looking for this type of training.
We have seen unbelievable and unparalleled growth in the aviation sector through Canadore College year after year, basically now decade after decade. They have grown this facility to become a world-class training facility.
We've opened up, of course, the flight simulators, which is an area that we've always wanted to enhance here. And our world-class simulators will allow us to, again, partner with the private sector for their use and just building the aviation industry in Ontario.
This is the only facility of its kind in Northern Ontario. Science North's traveling exhibition has completed a 3-year nationwide circuit teaching people about climate change. 500,000 people toured Our Climate Quest, Small Steps to Big Change. It's about everyday changes people can make to curb climate change. The exhibit has returned home to Sudbury's Dynamic Earth after traveling to 51 communities across the country.
In true Science North style, it is interactive, it's a lot of fun, and it's also the first time that we created a fully sustainable traveling exhibition. So even the materials that we use to create the exhibit will have another life once they're done as part of this exhibit.
And the exhibit will be at Dynamic Earth until November 14th and is included with regular admission. He's a goaltender with Powassan of the NOJHL. Coming up on CTV News at 5, this player has a real connection to the Voodoo's nickname. We'll tell you more in a few minutes.
Hockey This Week is brought to you by Rastall Nut and Bolt Company.
Welcome back to another edition of Hockey This Week. This week we take you to Powassan, where the NOJHL Voodoos are celebrating their unique connection to the military ahead of Remembrance Day. Starting goalie Derek Champagne always feels a rush when he straps on his pads. Being a Powassan Voodoo means everything to him.
I love the team here. I love the coaches. To me personally, it's just amazing.
And it's extra special when he sees the logo of the soaring jet. His father, Rick, a 40-year veteran of the Royal Canadian Air Force, was an air traffic controller and aerospace controller. He directed McDonnell's CF-101 Voodoo jets while in the air.
I was in Comox, BC on Vancouver Island. We had jets, we had search and rescue, we had fisheries patrols, and they had the Voodoos. And they were by far the most exciting aircraft.
Champagne even flew in a Voodoo a few times in the mid-'80s. It's the first time since the team joined the NOJHL in 2014 that it's had any kind of personal connection to its name and logo.
The opportunity with the Voodoos came up, and I got excited. I thought this would be absolutely perfect. The first thing I said to Derek is I said, you know, I flew in one of those. And he said, really?
He actually told me the story when I first came out here because he thought it, you know, kind of correlated to the history here.
When the team first formed, the previous owners wanted to tie them to the region's rich military history and keep the connection with the North Bay Battalion. Thus, the Voodoos were born.
Used to fly out of here in training missions, so you know there's a beautiful plane right propped up right at the top of the hill in front of the Jack Garland Airport.
The Voodoos are off to a flying start this season as Champagne has helped pilot them to 4th place in the standings, recently picking up his first shutout of the year.
He's done a great job so far and come up with some big wins.
And Champagne is hoping to continue to fly high after such a fast start to the season.
The coaches just make it so fun to be out here.
Stay tuned for another edition of Hockey This Week next week, when Rick Wyman will feature the upcoming Silver Stick Tournament. For Hockey This Week, Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
And there are 5 games in the NOJHL this Friday night. The Timmins Rock are rolling into Hearst to take on the Lumberjacks. The Sioux Thunderbirds are hosting the Blind River Beavers. The Powassan Voodoos are taking on the last place French River Rapids. The Kirkland Lake Gold Miners will be in Michigan tonight to play the Sioux Eagles. And the Greater Sudbury Cubs are in Espanola tonight to face off against the Paper Kings. These two are tied for points in the standings. That game is at 7:30 p.m. The rest of the games are 7 o'clock starts. To the OHL and a tough Thursday night for the Sudbury Wolves, who started out strong against their Central Division rival, Barrie Colts.
Skated into the Wolves player, and now it's going to be another penalty as Hovan, he's tripped up. Here's Martin at the point. Back to the blue line. Lads fires, scores!
That goal in the early few minutes of the second from Liam Lads would give Sudbury a 2-1 lead, but it wouldn't take long for Barrie to respond. The Colts would follow that up with 5 unanswered goals. The Barrie Colts would go on to beat the Sudbury Wolves 6-2. Tonight, the Wolves will have home ice advantage in the rematch. They host the Barrie Colts at the Sudbury Community Arena at 7:05. The Sioux Greyhounds are home to the Guelph Storm tonight at the JFL Memorial Gardens at 7:07. And the Flint Firebirds land in the Gateway City tonight to take on the North Bay Battalion at 7 sharp. The Big Nickel Hockey Tournament is back this weekend in Sudbury. This tournament has been running for 45 years. And this year, there are 34 U18 teams from Ottawa to London. Tournament organizers have also been hard at work raising money for local charities.
We got rid of the gate fees, which is immense rate, so we can keep our registration down. So the money that we raise through sponsorship goes to feeding the volunteers. We make donations to the hospice, to cancer care, to Sudbury Minor, to Coppercliff Minor Hockey. It all goes back into the community in Sudbury.
The tournament kicked off yesterday with games running all weekend at McClelland Arena in Coppercliff, Tom Davies Arena in Lively, and the Countryside Arena. That's also where the finals will be Sunday at 1:30 p.m. A super moon and an art show this weekend. Just a couple of things to tell you about in a few minutes. You're watching First at 5. Our first community close-up comes to us from Espanola. Alice Reed sent us this photograph of a super beaver moon. It's a full moon at the closest point to Earth in its orbit. The picture was taken yesterday at Lang Lake. Thanks so much, Alice. We're going to Sudbury South End and Mallard's Landing. Ted Gunn snapped this picture of a duck stretching out for food. He says it was taken last week. Thanks so much for thinking of us, Ted. And the Sudbury Art Club Fall Show is happening this weekend. Organizers are calling it a celebration of original creativity. You can stop in to the Carmichael Community Center on Bellevue Avenue from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. both Saturday and Sunday, November 8th and 9th. In the spirit of giving, food bank donations are welcome. And if you have any pictures, videos, or events you'd like us to showcase, you can always email them to us at communitycloseup@bellmedia.ca. And finally, the Kids Caring for Kids Cancer Drive was another huge success this year in Sudbury. Students from Lockerbie Composite School canvassed the city last week to raise money for pediatric cancer care in the north. They raised more than $42,000 in just one night. The Cancer Drive has raised over $1.1 million since its inception and honors former student Laura Catesta, who died of cancer. And there's more news for the North coming up at 6. For now, continue watching as we hand things over to CTV National News.